morning, all. We'll begin today's session. This is the first question. Here you provided 4 maps, which are the 4 options. Of course, one or more option is correct in this case. What is given here is the figure shows 4 different road networks. Which of these 4 road networks can be traversed by a traveler such that the following challenge can be accepted? These are the conditions, okay? The traveler must cover all the roads in the network, which means all the routes needs to be covered by us. She is allowed to visit a city more than once. The city or the nodes can be visited more than once, but she is not allowed to travel any road more than once. You cannot travel any road more than once. You can travel the city more than once, but not the road, which means the line or the connection. Also, the traveler must come back to the city where she starts. How do we do this now? Here, the first thing that one should do is actually take into account which node has the maximum connectivity or which is the node which has the least connectivity. Both the ways you can get it done. In the given options, which I've actually solved it out, you can observe that in the case of B, we are taking the node with the less connectivity. So we are starting with Aurangabad here. We take this route, Aurangabad to Nashik, Nashik to Mumbai here. Then from Mumbai, we come to the third route to Ratnagiri here. From Ratnagiri, we go to Satara, which is the 4th route. From Satara, we go to Pune, which is the 5th. From Pune, we go to Mumbai, which is the 6th. And then from Mumbai, we come to Ratnagiri, which is the 7th. From Ratnagiri, we go to Pune, which is the 8th. And then this is the 9th, where we reach the destination where we started, which is Aurangabad itself. So B is the one which is possible. Next, which is easily possible, is the option D. Here also, this is the first route, Kolkata to Guwahati, Guwahati to Gangtok, second Gangtok to Darjeeling, third Darjeeling to Kolkata, back, fourth Kolkata to Patna, fifth, Patna to Puri, sixth, Puri to Kolkata, back, 7. And that's how we reach back to Kolkata, which is our starting point. So here our starting point was Aurangabad and here our starting point was Kolkata. And in both the methods, where one was a little bit, one had less connectivity versus one has more number of connectivity, both are getting satisfied here. So both the option B and D are correct. We'll move to the next one. If the geometric solid blocks shown below are cut along a single flat plane, which of these can have the cross section of a regular hexagon with all sides are equal? Assume all the blocks are extruded from the polygon with sides of equal length. Here also one or more options are correct. In this case, of course, option A is correct because I will just slice this hexagon like this and I will get a regular hexagonal slice. So A is correct. Further, B is also correct. We'll cut the cube as shown in this figure along this axis, which is 45 degree along the diagonal axis. That to cut along from this edge to this edge. So that cross section will happen somewhere here between here and here. So option B is also the one which is correct. C, in case of C, I need to do 2 cuts. One will be a hexagonal cut plane like this, after which I will actually be able to slice the hexagon along the horizontal axis. So C is wrong and D is of course wrong. You can get a hexagonal section using a pentagon, but it won't be a regular hexagon. Because here we are asked the regular hexagon, that's why we won't choose the option D, and hence A and B are the only correct ones. The following patterns are made on a wall by using ceramic tiles. Here we are given ceramic tiles, which is important to note. Why? Because if it is glass tile, you can flip it, you can mirror it. But because it is ceramic tile, you cannot flip it or you cannot mirror the tile. That's why. Which means that you can rotate the tile, but you cannot mirror it. Which of the given patterns is or are made from single type of tile? Which of the patterns are made from single type of tile is what we have to find. Now here in this kind of question, the first thing that I will check is, okay, where do I find the mirror happening? Like here, in case of option B, you can see very easily that this tile and this tile, they are both mirror of each other, which means B is definitely made up of two tiles at least. So B is the one which is wrong. B is the one which is not possible because it's made up of two tiles at least. Likewise, in case of option D also, if you see this part, this tile and this tile, again they both are mirror of each other. So D is also made up of at least two tiles minimum. So D is also wrong, and henceforth the correct answer is A and C. You can cross-check the tiles also later. Here we are given a condition. In the figure below, a person is putting small packets of potatoes in one of the bins A, B, or C. The packets are placed on a table and the bins A, B, and C are placed on tables which are lower in height as compared to the table in which the packet rests. This table is where the packets rest, and these are the bins where you have to keep the potato packets. Which of the following statements is or are true? Again, one or more answer is correct. I'll go from option by option. A. Lifting the bag from the table, this table, and placing it in bin B is less effortful compared to lifting it and placing it in place in C. Now, if you see, C is more closer to the person, so this is definitely wrong. In fact, it will be more effortful to keep this packet in bin B compared to bin C. Next option. Lifting the tape back from the table and placing it in bin A will be more effortful compared to sliding it in bin C. Please note here, sliding it in bin C directly is less effortful compared to lifting it and putting it in A, or vice versa. Lifting and putting it in A is more effortful compared to sliding it in C. So B is correct. Next, lifting the bag from the table and placing it in bin B, it will be less effortful than sliding it in C, which is not possible, which is wrong. Sliding the bag from the table to bin C will be less effortful than lifting it and placing it in bin C. Sliding is definitely definitely less effortful compared to lifting and placing. So that's why D is also correct. So the correct answer are B and D. Move to the next one. Here in this question, what we are provided is we are given an envelope like this. This envelope is then cut out. I will have these triangle and squares cut out like as shown in figure. When you open this envelope, how will the pattern be? Is what we have to find. So in this case, these kind of questions rather, what we did first do is we'll compare the options figure. Now here, because it's an envelope and it will be an asymmetrical object, we have to compare the options with reference to this part or this part which is jutting out here. So इसके हिसाब से ही आप compare करोगे. You won't look at it in isolation. First thing. Now, when I compare all the options together, the first thing which I notice which is different happening in A and C are these triangular cutouts which are marked here. Both the triangular cutouts in both the cases are following the same direction like this, these two, which is not possible because when you have a fold here, ये इसका mirror वाला जो cutout होगा वो actually ऐसा होगा and not like this. That's where A and C are directly negated. Now between B and D, when I compare again together, the thing which I find different is this part. Or let me just put it here only, this part. Now this part and this part, which are happening here, they both are happening along the excess edge, which is here. So what I will do is I will open this up. So this will look something like this, the triangle. And then I will open it up like this. So यहाँ पे जो आपका cutout form होगा वो ऐसा कुछ form होगा, where diamond will be happening on the left side and square will be happening on the right side. Here, the diamond is happening on the right side of this, if I rotate it 180 degree, and ये आपका left side आएगा. So D is definitely wrong by that logic, and B is the one which will be chosen. We'll move to the next one. Here, you're given a figure which shows the top view, front view, and side view of a three-dimensional solid. What is the minimum number of surfaces that the solid with this view can have? Assume that there are no hidden lines. In this case, first we'll draw what the solid will look like, okay? So I'm just trying to draw the cube first because the cube is definitely quite evident. क्योंकि हर एक व्यू का आपका जो प्रोफाइल है वो प्रोफाइल आपका स्क्वायर है. That's where the cube is definitely evident as a frame, okay? Not as a 3D, but as a frame. So here is where we are. So now here within this, we have circles. So first I'm going to draw all the circles on all the edges. We have this circle, we have this circle, and then we have this circle. Okay. This circle, एक side से ऐसा दिखेगा, पीछे के side से भी you see the same thing, which means there will be 6 circles at least. So there will be 6 circles. Now I have to construct what these edges will look like. This is the side view, which is this side. Here, if I start locating the points, ये वाला जो आपका point है will be happening here. ये वाला जो आपका point है will be happening here, और ये वाला जो point है will be happening here. Which means कि ये जो surface आपका बनेगा वो surface कुछ ऐसा बनेगा, which is like a 3D curve. Similarly, a 3D curve will also be generated. So yeah, let me draw it to the different color. This is a 3D curve. Similarly, a 3D curve will also be generated here. A 3D curve will also be generated here. Another 3D curve will also be generated here. These curves are called squinches. Squinch. S-Q-U-I-N-C-H-E-S. They are called squinches. If you want to see how a squinches looks like, I would urge you to look at Hagia Sophia Mosque. It has squinches to transition from the walls to the dome. So this is a classic example of Hagia Sophia Mosque where you will find squinches, which is like a 3-dimensional curves. So this object, 3D, will have 6 circles, of course, plus there will be 1, 2, 3, and then there will be one more squinch happening here. 4 squinches at the top, plus 4 squinches at the bottom, which makes it total 14 surfaces that the solid has, which is option B. We'll move to the next one now. Here, we are provided the front view of a cricketer. What we have to identify is which is the correct side view of this cricketer, as shown from the options provided. Again, one answer is correct. So in this case, first things first, what I will do is in these kind of questions where the options are very similar, we'll start with comparing the options together. When you compare the options together, the first thing which you notice which is different is this handband. This handband. Now if you observe, ये handband का location ये नीचे है और ये आपका ऊपर जाएगा. which means the curvature will be less in the center and more in the sides, which means the curve उसका ऐसा होना चाहिए ideally. So option B यहाँ से गलत है आपका. That's where. Now between A, C and D, when I again compare the options together, one thing which is different in D is this part. ये जो आपका waist वाला blue band है versus हाथ का blue band है, उसका orientation अलग है. इसमें वेस्ट का ब्लू बैंड नीचे है, हाथ का ब्लू बैंड ऊपर है, वर्सेस इन द क्वेश्चन फिगर वेस्ट ब्लू बैंड इज ऑन टॉप versus the hand blue band is at the bottom. So D is also wrong. Between A and C, when I compare both the options together, there is one prominent difference in A, which is of the leg. In the question figure which is given to you, when I look at it from this side, the leg which is tilted is actually happening on the back side of the front leg. So that's where A भी आपका गलत होगा and C is the one which is correct. Move the next one. Here, in this question, what you have to find is which option correctly represents the top view of the given perspective view. We are given this perspective view, जिसमें ये ग्रे कलर का वॉल है जो आगे तक जाएगा, और दूसरा वॉल हमको दिया है which is a pink colored wall which is shown here, and they both are intersecting at some point in time. Okay, we have to find which is the correct top view of this perspective. Now here, if you observe, the gray wall is of more height compared to the red wall or the pink wall. So obviously, in the plan view, आपका जो gray wall होगा वो through and through जाएगा versus the pink wall which is there will go somewhere in between like this somewhere. ऐसा condition होना चाहिए. So the darker part which is gray wall has to go through and through. So that's where option B आपका गलत है क्योंकि ये condition उसका गलत है यहाँ पे intersection. इसमें ऐसा दिख रहा है कि the red wall is bigger, which is wrong. Between A, C and D, when I compare, it is a matter of spacing from the intersection. Now if you observe the question figure very carefully, you'll see that ये वाला जो आपका dimension है versus ये वाला जो आपका dimension है, this dimension is small compared to this dimension, relatively compared to this dimension. So that's where I will, if this is happening in perspective, which means ये जो बड़ा वाला, I mean पीछे वाला जो wall है जो dotted में दिख रहा है will be even bigger than what is seen because it's going at the back. That's where I come to know that आगे वाला जो पार्ट है, ये वाला जो पार्ट है, जो रेड का आगे वाला जो ये वाला पार्ट है will be smaller compared to पीछे वाला पार्ट, which is happening in only one case. जैसे A में वो दोनों सेम है आपका दोनों साइड का, so A गलत है. C में उल्टा हो रहा है, आगे वाला पार्ट, if I'm looking at the perspective from this angle, C में आगे वाला पार्ट बड़ा है, पीछे वाला छोटा है, so C भी गलत है. D is the only one जहां पे ये वाला पार्ट छोटा है और ये वाला पार्ट आपका बड़ा है. So that's why D is the one which would be the correct one. Okay. Here, a cube and a truncated cone are shown below. The cube has dimension 10 by 10 by 10. The truncated cone has a base diameter of 12 units, height of 11 units. So ये 10 by 10 by 10 है. इसका आपका बेस इज 12, ऊपर का इट्स 6 जो यहाँ पे दिया है, और हाइट आपका 11 है, 11. Imagine these two solids are intersecting while positioned coaxially on the same base. Further, imagine the cube vanishes completely along with the intersection portion of the truncated cone. You have to find what remains from the options. One answer is correct, of course. In this case, when I intersect them together, आपका ये जो कोन वाला, sorry, so आपका ये जो क्यूब वाला प्लान में, I'm just drawing the plan first, okay? ये जो प्लान है उसमें which is ये वाला dimension आपका 10 10 10 है, because the cube का size is 10. Within this cube, a truncated cone is getting cut here, which means कि truncated cone कुछ ऐसे आपका आएगा. Drawing it roughly, something like this. जिसमें इतना part 1 centimeter and 1 centimeter on both the side will be coming out. Why? Because ये cone का base diameter is 12, यहाँ का बीच में 10 है, versus intersection is going to happen on the central axis only. So that's why दोनों साइड 1-1 सेंटीमीटर बाहर निकलेगा. Further, cone का जो ऊपर वाला base वाला part है, which is 6 centimeter, will also come on top. Now, when I draw the front elevation of this figure, it will actually look something like this. ये आपका निकला बाहर ऐसे, ये यहाँ से ऐसे बाहर निकलेगा. Sorry. और यहाँ से आपका ये ऐसे आएगा. Which means ये 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter on both the side, और ऊपर भी ये 1 centimeter जितना ही बाहर निकलेगा. Why? Because ये आपका पूरा 10 है और कोन का total height आपको दिया है 11 centimeter, which means only 1 centimeter will be coming out from the top. Of all the options which are provided to you, 1 centimeter वाला relative proportion looks clear in A. C, it's more like 2 or 2.5 centimeter, which is bigger. और D में वो base दिख ही नहीं रहा है आपका. B of course is wrong, but C में because this thickness is more will negate it, and D again ये thickness है ही नहीं, that's why D also is wrong, and A is the one which is chosen. Okay. Here we are given different grid combinations and there are some numbers written. What you have to find is ये question mark दिया है, वो question mark में which number will replace. Here in this case, there's some logic which is there within the numbers. I'll start with the first one. I'll first try to add the smaller numbers. That if you observe and that too you observe in everything. Now why I took that decision is because in every grid there are 2 small numbers and 2 big numbers. Means they have to be related with each other. So the 2 small numbers, when I add in this one, it will be 11 plus 13, which is 24. This is the third number which I get here. 24 और बड़ा number है आपका 35. So 35 minus 24, when I do, I get 11, which is the smallest number. So what it means is कि इसका जो addition आएगा उसका आप smallest number से add करो, आपको सबसे बड़ा number मिल जाएगा यहाँ पे. So that's where this is happening. Now in the next figure, I'll just confirm if this is the rule or not. So 17 plus 15 will be equal to 32. 32 plus 15 will be 47, which is true. 21 plus 19 will be equal to 40. 40 plus 19 will be 59, which is also happening here correctly. Then in the last figure, again, 29 plus 27 will be equal to 56, and 56 plus 27 is 85, which is also happening. True. So the question mark will be what? Now in this case, when I look at the options together, definitely this has to be a small number. It cannot, because from all the options, the number is definitely not greater than 48, which is the second highest number. So I know that X plus 24 will be equal to 48. Why? Because the addition of smaller number is the third number. So X ka value will have to be 24. So option B is the one which is correct here. Okay. We'll end today's session with this. Thank you so much. Morning, everybody. We'll begin today's session now. So here you're